Welcome. So glad you're here. Helen, before we start, why don't we just kind of see what everyone's cooking style is? Are they a self-proclaimed chef? Do they cook only because they have to? Let's just find out a little bit about you guys.
All right, everybody. So I'm going to launch the poll right now. You're going to have to click a button that says, I want to participate in the poll. And in the poll, you click on, all right, it looks like, Lisa, people are starting to, they're starting to figure it out. So I see that's going. All right, I see we have 20, 23, 50. All right. Oh, we're getting close. Wow. We have more than 50 people that have participated. Oh, okay, here we go. It looks like they're slowing down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm closing the poll. And now I'm going to share the results with you. Let's see, it looks like, oh my gosh, we have 50 people that love to cook. 41 cook because they have to. We have 3 that don't cook at all. And we have 1 self-proclaimed chef.
All right. I love it. I love all those people that love to cook because I love to cook. I love everything about it. I love chopping the vegetables. I love hearing the onions when they hit the hot pan and that smell. I love everything about it. I love taking a recipe and tweaking it and making my own or changing a few things and making it healthier, but still tastes as delicious. So I love everything about it. But I know that not everybody does. We just found out from our poll. Some people do it because they have to. You're driving home from work and you're just thinking, oh, what do I have in the fridge or the pantry? What can I make? It's just another chore, another thing to check off your list that you have to do. So I get that. You know, a friend of mine asked me why I wrote that cookbook. What did I want for that cookbook? And I knew right away the answer to that question. I wanted the cookbook to create time for people with their families. I wanted to show people that cooking healthy, delicious meals didn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to use a ton of different ingredients that you have to go to Whole Foods or a specialty store to find. It can be easy, it can be simple, and it can be healthy, and most of all, it can be delicious. So we're going to go through the different meal plans, our breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and just talk about a few things that we can do in each mealtime that are quick and healthy. So let's start with breakfast. One that I love fried eggs. Do y'all love fried eggs? But who needs all that grease? You know, we have to use all that grease to cook the top, or if we want it over easy. So here's a way to make a fried egg healthy. First thing we do is we take a pepper. It can be a yellow pepper, or it can be a green pepper. Well, that's red. Or a green pepper, just whatever you have in your fridge. So we're going to take our pepper and we're going to slice it. So each pepper will give you about 4 slices. And we're just going to slice it into a ring. And we're going to clean everything out of the middle of that ring. And then we're going to toss it into a saucepan or a frying pan that we've just barely coated with spray, or maybe you have a nonstick pan or a cast iron. And we're going to put it in there and we're going to cook it for just a couple of minutes and then flip it. And then after you flip it, you're going to take your egg and you're going to crack it right in the middle of that pepper. And then the thing about cooking a fried egg the healthy way, and so you don't get all those crispy edges and don't have to use that oil, is to cook it low and slow. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cook that egg for just a couple of minutes until it starts to set, and then you're going to flip it and cook the other side if that's the way you like it. And just cook it as long as you like. If you like it a little runny, that's how long you'll cook it. And so you can serve that on top of a piece of a whole wheat toast, maybe sprinkle a little Parmesan cheese on top, a little salt and pepper, and it's just a great breakfast. It's got your carb, it's got your protein, and it's even got a little vegetable and maybe a little cheese, a little dairy. So it's a great breakfast option for just a few calories. So I just want to tell you that you're going to get all the recipes that I talk about today. So don't worry about scribbling everything down that I tell you. All the recipes are going to be there, and you can also find them. And I'm just going to show you a picture of what this pepper looks like. It's in the cookbook, and you don't have to have the cookbook. If you don't have it, we're going to send you all these recipes, so don't worry about it. But let me just show you this picture of this egg. So you kind of have an idea of what your end result is going to look like. Doesn't that look wonderful? It's so easy and it's so colorful. You could have 4 or 5 in your saucepan. You have red and yellow and green, all different colors for however many people you're feeding. So that's a great option for breakfast. So what's another thing we can have for breakfast? Have you seen these maybe on Facebook or on the internet? It's oatmeal. It's called overnight oatmeal, and you cook oatmeal in your fridge overnight. So what you need are one of these little jars, and you can get these at Kroger or Walmart or whatever your grocery store is. They're about $8 to $10 for a dozen of these, and they're just great little jars to do things with. But what I like to do for my overnight oatmeal is I take old-fashioned oats, not the quick cooking. You need the old-fashioned. You take a 1/4 cup of oats and you put it in your jar. And then you take 1/3 cup of milk and you put that in your jar. And next you will take some plain Greek yogurt. And I love Greek yogurt. It pumps up the protein. It's just got a lot of nutrients, and you can use it for a lot of things. You can use plain Greek yogurt in place for your fat. If you're cooking a recipe, maybe for brownies or some cake or something that you want to cut the fat in the recipe, plain Greek yogurt is a good option. So we put 1/3 cup of plain Greek yogurt in there. And then we're going to put just a little bit of vanilla, just like 1/2 teaspoon. And then you can do it, you can pick what you want. You can do some strawberries or some blueberries. Or maybe you don't have any fresh fruit, but you kind of want some fruit in there. You could just do a teaspoon of jelly, just your all fruit jelly. Just put that in the jar. Another thing you could put in there is maybe some sliced nuts, like some almonds or walnuts. And you put it all in your jar. You could put some granola in there too, but it's going to kind of cook that granola so it'll get soft. So if you like your granola crunchy, put that in the morning. So you put all your ingredients in here and you just shake it up just for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then you put it in your fridge overnight. In the morning, you just go pull one out. You can make 5 of these, so you have one ready to go every morning. You don't have to think about what you're going to have for breakfast. It's oatmeal, so it's going to stick with you, and it's going to keep you full until lunchtime. It's just a great option for breakfast. And that's what's important, I think, about breakfast, is to plan ahead. So to have these 5 in there makes it so much easier. And you can either eat these cold or you can put it in the microwave and zap it for a few seconds. All right, so what's another breakfast idea? Here's one that I love that's good for kids too. Kids would love this. You take your whole grain tortilla, just from the grocery store, and then you take some peanut butter. You take a tablespoon of peanut butter and you spread it down the middle of your tortilla. And then you take a banana and you just lay your banana right on top of that peanut butter. Now you might want to add some other options. Maybe you want a little chocolate, and you can have that if you use mini chocolate chips. I love mini chocolate chips because they spread the flavor. If I have a cookie or something that uses chocolate chips, I'll always pick mini chocolate chips and use half as much. You get half the fat, but it sprinkles the flavor throughout whatever you're making, so you get a little chocolate flavor in every bite, instead of maybe with your full-size chocolate chips where you'll get a bite and then you'll have a bite that has no chocolate in it. So they're just a great option, and you can use half as much as you would normally use for your full-size chocolate chips. So it's great. So sprinkle a little bit of that on your peanut butter, or maybe you want a little honey. You could drizzle a little honey over your peanut butter just for a little bit more sweetness, and doesn't add a lot of calories. So after you put whatever you want in there with your banana and your peanut butter, and you roll it up, and it's ready to go. It's got a fruit, it's got a carb, and it's got a protein. It's a well-rounded breakfast that's going to keep you full. And kids like it too, because it's a banana dog. You can tell them they're having a banana dog for breakfast. All right, so what else do we have for breakfast? Well, you could do a bar, or you could do, how about a cookie? Who wouldn't want a cookie for breakfast? I love a cookie for breakfast. So that's another recipe that's available. So what you want to do is just look around on the internet and find a bar you like, or a breakfast cookie, or just some kind of thing that you can make in advance, cut into individual servings, and either put in your freezer or put in your fridge. So you want to look for a recipe that uses whole grains, maybe oatmeal, and you want to look for one that doesn't have a lot of sugar, maybe a little fruit, so you cover all your bases with that one bar. So think about what you want to have for breakfast and plan in advance, so you don't have to think about it every morning. Think about it once and done. All right, so let's move on to lunch. All right,
Lisa,
so yeah.
I think we wanted to do a poll.
Yeah, let's do a poll. Let's see who eats breakfast.
All right, I'm going to launch the poll, and you just say, do you eat breakfast, yes or no? Oh, it looks like they're really knowing how to do this poll. They're coming real fast. Wow, this is great. All right, looks like, oh, we almost have 50. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm closing the poll. All right, it looks like, wow, we had 50 people respond and 46 people eat breakfast, which means 4 don't. But that's pretty great. Those are really good statistics.
Wow.
Way to go.
Maybe with the banana dog or the oatmeal, overnight oatmeal. Helen?
Yes, it is.
All right. Okay, so lunch. Well, I love soup for lunch. And some people, I have some friends who make a whole bunch of soup and they stick it in their freezer and they have it, and that's great. But not all of us have time to do that. So sometimes we might pull out maybe a can of soup from the grocery store. And these soups have gotten better. They have chunkier vegetables than maybe they did 5 years ago or so. They have bigger chunks of meat. They make light versions. This one is a light Southwestern style vegetable. So they have some better options. But if I look on the ingredients, there are some things that I don't know what they are. Do you know what they are? I think I need to be a chemist to figure out what they are. And I'm sure they're safe. The FDA said they're safe. But have you ever eaten a can of soup and thought, oh, that was so good? I haven't. I mean, it does the job. It gives you the nutrients, it fills you up and sends you off. But it really, I don't think I've ever said, oh, that is just the best soup I've ever had. So I'm going to show you how to make a homemade soup using fresh ingredients that you have in your pantry. And that's what I call it. It's called whatever is in your pantry soup. And you'll see why in just a second. So the first thing we do is we take an onion. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. She came by the warehouse and she was talking about how she didn't know how to cut an onion. And I thought about that. Do you chase your onion around the board? Are you trying to cut it in little pieces and you slice it? Well, I'm going to show you how I cut an onion. So first you peel it, and then we're just going to cut that tip off. So now we have a flat surface that we can put on our board, and that onion's not going anywhere. And then I take my knife and I cut straight down through the root, just straight down through the root. And we're just going to use half an onion for this recipe. So now I have my half an onion, and I put it down on my board. It's not going anywhere. And someone told me, I don't know if it's an old wives' tale, but if you leave the root intact, it won't make your eyes tear up. I don't know if that's true, but that's one theory. All right, and then you take your knife and you slice down almost to the root, but not all the way to the root. That root is going to hold it together so nothing goes away. So we just slice down through and just make regular slices, and my onion's still together. I don't have to chase any pieces anywhere. And then I go back the other way and slice down, and I have perfect diced onion. Just slice right down, and it's staying right where I want it to stay. So that's my little healthy hack on how to cut an onion. So back to our soup. So we take our diced onion and we toss it in a pan that we put just a little bit of olive oil just to coat the bottom, or maybe you're using a nonstick pan, or you have spray, you could spray it and that would work. So we're going to saute our onion. And Helen, let's see how long it takes us to make this soup. So we're going to saute our onion for 5 minutes. So we're going to start with our 5 minutes. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some beans. We're going to take 2 cans of beans. And what kind of beans are they? Well, I have black beans here. But you know what kind of beans you could use? Whatever's in your pantry. If you have kidney beans or cannelloni beans or black-eyed peas, whatever you have in your pantry can go in this soup. So we got our 2 cans of beans. All right, next we're going to add broth. Now you might have little broth cubes. You might have these kind in the little jar, or you might have broth in a carton or a can. Whatever kind of broth you have, that's the kind you're going to use because it's what's in your pantry. So we're going to add 3 cups of broth to our soup. All right, Helen, where are we on our time? We've dumped in our beans and we've dumped in our broth.
Right now we're at 6 minutes.
All right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is And one quick note, let's go back to the onions for a minute. If you have some other vegetables in your fridge, maybe some carrots or some zucchini or some green pepper, you would saute those with your onions. Just whatever vegetable you have in there, that's when that would go in. All right, so back to it. We've got our onions and our broth and our beans, and now we're gonna add something in our freezer. So what's in our freezer? You might have a bag of corn, or a bag of California mix, or a bag of peas, or a bag of peas and carrots. Just whatever frozen food you have in your freezer, that's what you would put in now. Helen, this seems like a good time for another poll. Let's ask them, what is better, fresh or frozen vegetables and fruit?
All right, guys, I'm launching the poll. So you just have to pick fresh or frozen. Okay, looks like they're going fast, Lisa. They know how to do the poll now. We got it. All right. Look how fast they are. All right, I'm going to count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We have 51 response now. 35 people picked fresh. That's 67%. And 16 people picked frozen.
All right. So fresh seems to be winning the poll, but you might be surprised to find out that that's not always the case. Fresh, they pick fresh before it's ripe because they know that it's got to get on that truck and it's got to travel all the way to the store from wherever it came from, and it takes a while to get there. So they pick it before it's ripe, so less nutrients, and then it travels all the way to the store, losing even more nutrients before it gets into the bin where we can pick it and take it home. So the difference is frozen, they pick those when they're ripe and they freeze them right then. They pick them and freeze them. So a lot of times it retains all those nutrients that we've lost, maybe picking too early and driving in the truck. So most of the time, or a lot of the time, but not with every vegetable, but most of the time, frozen has the more nutrients. So that's surprising. All right, so we put in our frozen vegetables. What do we need next? How about some spices? If you had black beans like I did, you might want to do a little southwestern. Maybe you had some corn in there, so you might add some cumin. And I'm from Texas, so I like to add some salsa. Either I choose a medium salsa, but maybe you like a hot salsa, or maybe you like a mild salsa if you're not from Texas. I don't want to pick on y'all people not from Texas. So anyway, I like a little salsa, and I just put just a half a cup. And that adds a little tomato, it adds a little jalapeno, a little spice. So that just kicks up the flavor a little bit. So that's another thing you can add if you want to. So Helen, we've got everything in our soup, and now we're going to simmer it for 5 minutes. So what's our total time on this soup?
Based on my calculation, it looks like we're right at about 12 minutes. That's pretty amazing.
So 12 minutes for our fresh homemade soup using whatever's in our pantry. How easy is that?
So Lisa, we have a question. People are using their Q&A. So we have, Marilyn wants to know, do you rinse the beans or do you drain them?
You drain and rinse your canned beans, whichever ones you have in your pantry.
All right. And then Diane, I wanted to know again, how much salsa is it that you use in the soup?
I used a half a cup in this soup.
Okay. That sounds good. All right. Keep those questions coming, everybody. We love them.
All right. So 12 minutes and you have a homemade fresh soup using what you have in your pantry. And that's something to think about. Think about having these things in your pantry all the time. You should always have bouillon. You should always have canned beans. And you should always have frozen vegetables in your freezer. So you never have a reason not to have a vegetable or not to have the things you need to make a healthy soup. All right.
Lisa, I just wanted to add vegetable soup. I have it almost every day at lunch. And I'm just wondering, it's just something, it fills me up. I love that full feeling. And vegetable soup, I'm not going to gain weight if I have 2 cups of vegetable soup or even 4 cups. So it really hits the spot. I just wanted to put a plug in for that vegetable soup.
That is so true, Helen. It's such a great filling lunch. And some people, like something that's a little creamier. Maybe it's too broth, has too much broth for you. So one thing I like to do to make it a little creamier is I'll take a slotted spoon and I'll take half of the ingredients out, half of those, that bean, that carrot, that onion mixture, and I'll take it out and put it in my blender, and I'll blend it and pour it back in. And it really makes for a creamy soup if you prefer a creamy soup. So that's another option. All right, so for lunch, what's another thing we like for lunch? What about a wrap? I love a wrap. You can do so much with a wrap. You can put all kinds of things in it. I cooked for an event last week, and we had a turkey cranberry wrap. We had our wrap, and then we had our filling, which I mixed all together in a bowl. It had turkey, it had light mayonnaise, it had cranberry sauce, just canned cranberry sauce. It had some diced celery, and it had some nuts, some sliced almonds. So mixed it all together, put in that wrap, and it was wonderful. And the great thing about that wrap is, if you think about it, like what could you use instead of the turkey? Say you don't have turkey. You might use some leftover chicken from the night before, or some rotisserie chicken from the store. And what could you use instead of cranberry sauce? Well, cranberry is kind of fruity, so what about some jelly? Or maybe some dried cranberries. So look for something with that same flavor. Maybe you don't have sliced almonds. Well, use walnuts or pecans. So maybe you don't have a tortilla. Use whole wheat bread and make it like a tuna salad sandwich, but it's your turkey cranberry salad sandwich. So be creative and don't be afraid to substitute ingredients. Look for something that has a similar flavor and just switch it. You are the boss of your wrap. You can put whatever you want in that thing. All right, and it's a great, healthy, again, we've got our protein, we've got our carb, we've got fresh fruits maybe, vegetables. You can put some chopped apple in there and it would be just as good. So a lot of options for a wrap. So think about that. All right, what else do we like for lunch? How about a salad? I love salads. But then when I go to the fridge and I'm thinking about having a salad, I think, oh, I don't want to chop everything. I don't want to wash the lettuce. It just seems like a lot of work. So what I like to do is do these salads in a jar. Have you seen those on the internet? There's a ton of good recipes out there, and I'll tell you a few ideas in just a minute. But you take your jar, and again, you can get these at Walmart or your grocery store, and they're $8 to $10 for a dozen of them. And I'll get 5 jars, and I'll make all my salads for the week. Now, there's a method to how you're supposed to pack these salads. The first thing you want to do is put in your dressing, whatever your dressing is. Maybe you want to make a homemade dressing. I have a wonderful raspberry vinaigrette that I love to make, and it just has balsamic vinaigrette, jelly, applesauce, you know, those little single serving original applesauces. I'll dump that in there. I'll dump half a jar of jelly, and then you could do this to taste. Some people like theirs a little tart. Some people don't like it as tart. So that's a quick and easy vinaigrette. But whatever dressing you're using, that goes in first. All right, and then you put your heartier ingredients, like maybe some corn or carrots or onions, or if you're using like a raspberry, these are greens. You might choose some kale or some red leaf lettuce or green leaf lettuce. Just whatever you have, that would go next. Now, when I use kale, kale is so chewy. So if I use kale in a salad, I will just chop the crazy out of that thing. I just chop it up so I have to do less chewing. Because sometimes I'm chewing kale and I feel like I've been chewing for 3 days. So I like to chop it up. All right, so you put your green in there. And the next thing you do is put the ingredients that don't hold up as well. Maybe your more fragile ingredients like your boiled egg or your hummus or your pesto or things like that. That's what will go on top. And then you just put your top on that jar and you put it in the fridge. And then when you leave for work in the morning or when you go in the kitchen looking for lunch, you just pull that jar out, dump it in a plate, and lunch is ready. You don't have to chop anything or wash anything. It's ready to go. These are a great idea for lunch. Now, there's a couple of recipes, and I'll send these to you, so don't worry about writing them down, but you might go like Mediterranean, and use spinach and red onion and olive, and pesto might be your dressing. Or you might go Southwestern and do corn and beans and salsa and that kind of thing in your jar. So just have fun with it and think about what you want. You could do different jars, or you could have the same salad all week. Just depends on what you like. Helen, we have a question?
We have some questions. So someone wanted to know, was the turkey, is it lunch meat turkey? What kind of turkey did you use in the wrap?
The turkey in the wrap, you could use leftover turkey, like from Thanksgiving. I know it'll be a while till Thanksgiving. Or you could use whatever kind of poultry that you want to use. If you have some rotisserie chicken left over, even if you have deli chicken, just sliced deli chicken, just chop that up, and that works great with all those other ingredients too.
And then the question about for salads is, what layer is the meat or the nuts? Pam wanted to know, where does the meat go or the nuts go in the salad jar?
I would put the meat down there with the hearty ingredients. Everything that's sitting on the bottom is sitting in that dressing, marinating. So it's just going to give it some great flavor. So I would put those nuts, that protein, that meat down in the bottom of your jar.
Okay. Now, Finda wants to know how many salad greens, how much goes in the jar?
Well, you want to pack your jar pretty full. You don't want a lot of air in there, because that will keep it fresher if it's packed pretty tight. So just feel free to just fill it up with greens.
Okay. I think that's it right now. Keep those questions coming, everybody.
All right. Great. I love it. I love the questions. Keep asking. All right. So we've got our lunch ideas. So now let's move on to dinner. Well, we could have that soup for dinner, the soup we talked about, and maybe just add some protein to it. You might add some leftover chicken or some rotisserie chicken like we talked about. Rotisserie chicken is such a great thing to just have around. You can just throw it into everything, wraps, soups, all kinds of stuff. So, so that soup would be a good idea for dinner. You might kick it up a little and do a little side salad, or maybe some French bread. And here's another hack for French bread that I like to do. You take your French bread and you get your hands wet, and then you just dampen the top of that French bread. And then you take some sea salt and you just sprinkle it across the top. And you can even use garlic salt, but be careful with the garlic salt because it's a lot finer than sea salt and you don't want to put too much. So just sprinkle that along the top, and then put the whole thing in foil, wrap it up, and then put it in the oven at 350 for about 10 minutes. The thing about butter is it's salty. So when people are eating that bread and they taste that salt, it gives the impression that it's buttery, even though there's no butter on it. So it's a little healthy hack trick that you can do to not use butter on your bread that you're serving. So just another trick. All right. So back to dinner. What else can we have for dinner? What about pizza? Do you love pizza? I love pizza. Do you like to make homemade pizza? Or do you think, oh, that's going to take too long. I have to knead it. I have to wait for it to rise. That's just too much trouble. Well, I'm going to show you how to make pizza. And Helen, let's time it again. Let's see if pizza really does take too long. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our yeast. And we're going to put it in a bowl of a cup of water. And then we're going to put a little sugar in there, and we're going to walk away for 5 minutes. So there's 5 minutes right there. You can go watch TV. You can go get on Facebook or call your friends over to have pizza. All right. So we come back after 5 minutes, and we get our bowl. It's all foamy and perfect. And then we're going to dump in some other ingredients. We're going to dump in 2 cups of flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a little bit of oil. And we're going to mix that up. And yes, you do have to knead your dough, but pizza doesn't take as much work as like a bread. You don't have to knead it as much, and you don't have to let it rise as long. So we're going to knead it for 5 minutes. So that's 5 more minutes, Helen. And you can do other things while you're kneading. You can watch TV. You could do some leg lifts, maybe get your strength training in while you're kneading. You can't see my leg, but I'm lifting it. So you can multitask. You can exercise and knead your bread. Okay, so we're going to knead that for 5 minutes till it's not sticky, and then we're going to put it in a bowl that we've greased a little and put a towel over it. And now we're going to walk away again. So for 5 minutes. So there's 5 more minutes, Helen. So we're going to let that rest. Even though we don't have to let it rise for a long time, we need to let it rest. All right, and you could chop some more stuff, whatever you want on your pizza. Maybe chop your peppers or your onions, or whatever you're going to put on the pizza, or go do whatever you want for 5 minutes. And then you're going to come back and you're going to take your dough and you're going to make either I love to make individual pizzas for everyone in my family. Maybe your family can all likes the same pizza, but mine does not. So we all get our own little pizza. And this dough will make 5 of those individual pizzas or one big one. And you can put those on, you don't have to have a special pizza pan. You can put it on a cookie sheet. Any kind of flat pan will cook a pizza just fine. All right, so we put our little pizzas out. And I like what I call a caprese pizza, which has pesto instead of marinara. So I'll spread a little pesto on each one, and then I'll get a couple of thick slices of tomato and put it on each one. And then I'll take some mozzarella and I'll just slice 2 slices and I just lay them across. Looks real gourmet. You don't need all that cheese. And here's another tip about cheese. I never buy the kind that's grated in the bag. Do you know that they add fillers to that so it doesn't stick together, so it looks all nice and fluffy when you buy it? So there's other stuff besides cheese in that bag that I don't need. So I take the extra 30 seconds, minute, however long it takes to grate cheese straight from the block. I always buy the block and grate it. All right, so we have our pizza. You don't have to use the pesto. Maybe you don't like pesto. You can use leftover marinara. You can use marinara that you bought at the store in a jar. I like Classico because it doesn't have as much sugar. A lot of those spaghetti sauces that you buy in the store have a lot of sugar. So Classico is a good brand. Or you might just put a little olive oil on there and not have any marinara at all. Just whatever you like, you can put on your pizza. So then you top your pizza and you bake it for 15 minutes at 425 and done. And oh my gosh, does pizza smell so good baking? I love the smell of it. You're going to bring everybody into the kitchen to have their pizza. So Helen, how long did it take?
By my calculation, it took us 22 minutes to assemble it, 15 minutes to cook. We had a homemade pizza in 37 minutes. Wow.
37 minutes. You couldn't get it delivered that fast, probably. You couldn't go pick it up that fast. And you know what's on it? It's all fresh ingredients that you had in your home, and it's fresh pizza that you can make for your friends or family. It's really not as hard sometimes as we think it is. And who doesn't love fresh pizza? Yes, Helen.
I wanted to make a comment about pizza. Pizza is a real danger food for me. I always tend to overeat it. But my family, we make our own pizza night at our house, and I can make my own pizza for my size. And I love to put all kinds of vegetables on it, like artichokes and stuff. And then I don't have to worry about anybody eating my pizza. The leftovers all belong to me. But, you know, having lost all the weight, it just really helps me have my own personal pizza because, to be honest, pizza is a real dangerous food for me. I could easily overeat it. So I love the personal pizza idea.
I love that. That's great, Helen. And if you have kids or grandkids or little ones running around, and they love making their own pizza. They love getting their hands in there and putting whatever they want on their pizza. All right, so that's great. Okay, so what else for dinner? What about fettuccine Alfredo? Whenever you see those lists from restaurants and they say the worst choice, it's always fettuccine Alfredo at the top. First couple of ones, it's always up there, right? It's always the worst choice. Well, I'm going to show you how to make a fettuccine Alfredo that is quick and easy and healthy and delicious. And it only uses 5 ingredients. So let's get started. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a block of cream cheese, just one whole block of cream cheese, and we're going to put it in a saucepan. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. And I use butter, I just use less of it. So you might like to use margarine, and that's fine too. It would work in this recipe, but I like to use butter. All right, and the next thing you're going to add is a half a cup of milk, just a half a cup. And then we're going to put some grated Parmesan, right? Not from a little canister, because we grate all our own cheese now. All right, so we're going to put a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese in there. And then for a little spice, we're going to add some garlic salt. And that's it, just those 5 ingredients in our saucepan. And then we're going to take our noodles and we're going to start those boiling. Now our noodles usually take 7 to 9 minutes, right? So by the time your noodles are ready, all of this that we've simmered at low will be melty and ready to go. So it only takes as long as it takes you to make your noodles. And you have fettuccine Alfredo. We use light cream cheese, low-fat milk, and just a little bit of butter, and we have a great fettuccine Alfredo. Now you might want to add something to this. You could add some leftover chicken. You could add some shrimp. Living down here in Galveston, we have a lot of shrimp, so you might add some boiled shrimp to that. Or you could add some broccoli. Maybe you have some steamed broccoli or steamed cauliflower. That would be a great veggie fettuccine Alfredo. And you can have that with your French bread that you made buttery, faux buttery, and maybe a salad. And it's a great dinner that's easy to fix and quick. All right. So.
All right, Lisa, there's a question on what kind of cream cheese. Did you use regular cream cheese or low-fat cream cheese?
Low-fat cream cheese. I like the Neuchâtel.
Okay. And then we have, people were asking about the serving size. How much on the fettuccine? How much, what does it serve?
The fettuccine serves 4.
Okay. And then how about the pizza recipe?
The pizza makes 5 personal pan pizzas, so it can serve 5 people.
Wow. Okay. We have another person that has a crock pot question. They're saying, do you have any frozen homemade crock pot meals, or do you do this?
I don't do a lot of crock pot cooking. Sometimes I'll use it to make the meat for a recipe in advance because it makes it so tender and juicy, so I like to cook it that way, low and slow. But there are a lot of great ones out there, and that is such a great tool for preparing meals in advance. You put stuff in there in the morning and it's ready in the evening. So that's definitely encourage you to look for recipes that work in your crock pot.
Okay. Okay, we have a fun question here. Somebody likes my jacket and they want to know, where can you get my jacket? Well, I love my jacket. We sell our logo wear at our events, and so this jacket's actually 4 or so years old. It's one of my favorites, and so you'll have to come to one of our events if you want to get a jacket, or we do sell our t-shirts, but our jackets are predominantly sold at our events. Or if you're interested in hosting an event, you can let me know, and we'll see about coming to where you are, and we'll bring the jackets to you. So let's see. We have more questions here. Can you talk about oils? Olive oils, coconut oils? What about oils?
That's a great question. So we hear a lot about olive oil. I think I have some olive oil here. Yes. So olive oil has a low smoke point. So that's best in like salads and things that you cook quick. But if you're going to do something that's fried, which I know we don't do a lot of fried, then you can use your other oils like canola and things like that. But here's a few tips on picking your olive oil. We all probably know that extra virgin is the best, but there's a lot of confusing terminology with olive oils. You might see the word refined, and that sounds like that would be really good, right? Refined. But actually, if it says refined, that means there was something wrong. Either the olives weren't the best or something went wrong and they refined it to fix it. So don't ever choose refined olive oil. And another word you'll see is pure. And pure does not mean the best. It's just a word that really means nothing in olive oil. So another key to picking your olive oil is to turn your bottle around and look for a date. Olive oil is good for about 2 years if you store it correctly. So you want to look for a date that's pretty close. Like if it's 1.5 years back, then your olive oil is getting close to the end of its lifespan. So look at that date. And another thing to look at in your olive oil is where it came from. It'll tell you what country your olive oil came from. And with olive oil is like juice. You want it to be fresh and pure. So if your olive oil comes from like 4 or 5 different countries, and the olive oil they have at places like Sam's and things like that, you'll see it has 6 or 7 or maybe more countries listed on the back. So just like your fresh fruits and vegetables that we talked about a little while ago, it had to travel. Your olives had to travel to get to those places where it could be combined to make your jar of olive oil. So that's going to lower the nutrient value of that and the quality of that olive oil. Now, a lot of people think you need to get your olive oil from Italy or from another country, but actually California has the highest rated olive oils. So if you see a California olive oil, it's probably going to be a good choice. So those are some tips for picking your olive oil.
Wow, that's good to know. We have another question here. It is about eggs, and somebody is allergic to peppers, and so they can't eat peppers, and they wanted to see, do you have any other options on what you could use besides a pepper?
Well, the key to cooking your egg is cooking it low and slow. So you could do it without the pepper, or you could do it maybe in a tomato. You could slice a big slice of tomato and take the insides out just like we did with our pepper and cook it inside the pepper. Or some people have metal rings that they use to do that. Or you could even do it in a piece of bread. Just take a circle cookie cutter and cut the middle out of your bread, and then put your bread in the hot skillet, and then put your egg in that. And that bread will hold it in that circle. And then you can, after it cooks just like we did with our pepper, just flip it over, and it's going to toast your bread while it's cooking your egg. So that's another option if you don't like peppers.
Wow. Well, Lisa, somebody wants to know how much weight I've lost. So my story, you can go on the First Place for Health website under Success Stories and look for Helen Barada. I am just a blessed big loser. I've lost 116 pounds. I started a First Place for Health group 11 years ago, and it took me 4 years. And the miracle, and praise God, is that I've been able to maintain it for going on 7 years this year. So just very thankful for First Place and the transformation it has made in my life. But thanks for asking. Praise God.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have another. Where do we get the cookbook? Can you show us the cookbook again, Lisa?
Yes.
Show us the cookbook. I can tell you the cookbook is available on our website. So where do they go on our website, Lisa?
There's a link right on our homepage that says store. And if you click that, the cookbook will show up on the next page. So here's just a few. If you just want to kind of see, it's full color, which I love. I love cookbooks that have pictures. I want to see what it's supposed to look like. There's our caprese pizza with our tomatoes.
And what about nutrition information? Someone wants to know, do you list the nutrition information?
I do. It has all the typical nutritional information, your calories and your carbs and all of that. And it also has Live It Tracker information for those of you in First Place that want to track your recipes. It has all that in there for you.
Wow, that's awesome. All right. We have one question from Pam about sweets. She said, is there a healthy food choice when it comes to sweets? And do you have any healthy desserts in that cookbook?
There are healthy desserts in that cookbook. And one thing I like to do with desserts is make smaller sizes. Like there's a recipe that I have that's ice cream sandwich, and I use a vanilla wafer and then put low-fat yogurt in there, and I might roll it in some nuts or maybe some mini chocolate chips. And it just makes a little mini ice cream sandwich. Or these jars that we were talking about for our overnight oatmeal. I'll make a little pie serving or a little dessert that just fits in the bottom of this jar, and it's cute, so it looks good, but it's just a little bit. So a lot of times our desserts are just so big. We're just so full after we eat them, and we don't feel that great, but sometimes we just need just a little bit of sweet. So that's an option too, to try to make smaller desserts. But I also I have this recipe, and it's kind of hokey. You take a banana. I lost my banana, but you take a banana and you cut it lengthwise. You just cut it long ways and you lay it open. And you can even leave it in the banana peel. And then you take some mini marshmallows and you sprinkle those on the top. And then you take a little bit of mini chocolate chips and sprinkle those on top. And then you put it in the broiler for about 5 minutes. And it toasts those marshmallows and melts those chocolate chips. So it's like a banana split. You could put a little half-cup serving of low-fat frozen yogurt on there, and you'd have a little banana split that is a full serving of fruit. Gotta love it.
Yeah, Lisa, we have a suggestion from Jen Crow. I know she taught me this, is you take the pitted medjool dates. You can just take one and a few little pecans. I heat my date up a little bit in the microwave, just 10 seconds, and then I pick apart my date and I eat it like with my pecans. And it's like having a mini pecan pie. It's very yummy. And then another thing I have, we talked about those wraps in the banana. I like to put it in my little sandwich maker, panini grill, with a little bit of almond butter in there. And I think of it like Elvis Presley. He liked to have those grilled banana and peanut butter sandwiches. And so I don't know, there's something about it. It's real thin and it's all flat, and I cut it up like a quesadilla, but it's like a dessert and it's absolutely yummy. There's something about that heated up banana that really just like is divine.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's great. All right,
Well,
dude.
we have one last comment. It's from Pam. She said that she loves Lisa's gluten-free pizza crust. So can you tell us about she said it's oh so good and yummy.
Yeah, well, really all I did for some gluten-free folks that I cooked for recently is just make the regular crust, just like we were talking about, and I used gluten-free flour, and it worked just as well. So if you have someone in your family that's gluten-free or gluten intolerant, you can do that. That pizza works just as well with that.
Okay, Lisa, well, some people wanted to know where can they see more of you, and I just wanted to put a plug in. Lisa's been starting to get speaking engagements, so she is actually available to come and visit you. So tell us a little bit, where are you going to be speaking next, Lisa?
Well, next weekend I'm going to be at the Fun and Fitness for Life women's event at Sandy Cove in Northeast Maryland. And then the next Sunday after that, I'm going to be at Houston's First Baptist Church at their fitness expo. It's 12:45 to 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So stop by and say hi to me there if you're in Houston. And then later this year in April, I'm going to be in Nacogdoches, Texas. So I'm looking forward to that. So I would love to come and talk to y'all about food whenever you wanted me to.
Okay.
But before we go, I just wanted to say that the reason I really just want people to find a way to get healthy food on the table, quick and easy. And that's what it's all about, because studies have shown that kids who eat around the table 3 times a week have higher self-esteem, they do better in school, and I really think the same holds true for adults. The more time we can spend together as a family just slowing down and eating around the table, we're going to be better off. You know, there was a study done recently, it was a word association study, and they asked French people what word they associated with chocolate cake. And you know what word they associated with chocolate cake? Celebration. Isn't that wonderful? Celebration. Well, then they asked Americans that same question, and their answer was guilt. They associate guilt with chocolate cake. And that really just breaks my heart. We really don't need to think of food as food is bad, because it's really not. It's really meant for celebration and enjoyment with friends and family. So I hope with these recipes you're able to find just 2, maybe 3 days a week, either maybe just with your husband or with your neighbors or family or friends, just whoever you can invite over, and just make a few meals just a couple of times a week and just slow down and enjoy your time with your friends and your family. So thank you for coming. Happy cooking.